What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It has been quite some time since I've made a full in-depth analysis of the market. I think now is a better time than any. We've seen significant downtrend in price action, aggressive continuation, slicing through levels. Things are getting hectic, but that means opportunity is on the horizon. And now I'm going to go through my in-depth analysis, show you what's happened, where I think things are going to go, where I plan to accumulate. Let's jump into the charts, guys. We're going to start off with Bitcoin. It's important that we go through things thoroughly, in depth, see what's happened and see what's going to potentially happen. So on the weekly here, I'd like to point out this low right over here. Clear low. I'm going to just kind of paint the chart with you guys now and see what I look for while price action comes to, and even closures to the future, because even though price has now reacted and we've seen some crazy rejections and candle wicks towards the lows, we did approach the low end of a range, and a low end of a range we've been trading it for quite some time, a range that took us up to all-time high 3 separate pushes. And that's important to note, is that we are near that low at around that 74.4 low. We did not sweep that low as of now. The month just opened. We saw that brutal cascade down to end the month of January, and now we just started the month of February. We front ran the wick low that had started the initial push. Now we're looking to hold over where we'd want to see price hold in anticipation for a push towards around that 85,100 level here, where we saw an aggressive break in price action right down into the lows right here. I'd like to paint also this 3-day level of demand here. It absolutely symbolizes this break and cascade beautifully. We see how long this level has held for, this level of demand here. We've chopped around it, closed above, even closed into it and recovered and pushed up higher than the initial hold and push. We eventually then cascaded down to the bottom, swept below, closed above, and then aggressively continuated the push downward. These are things that I look for. These are reactions that I look for in the levels that I look for them. It's important to look at your RSI divergences and your FVGs and your POCs and your ranges and your Fibonacci's and all that good stuff, but understand the level that you're trading around. And this is what happened, and now we have to make plans from that. We're at the low end of a range, and that spells opportunity. We're up 4,000 from that level already. Now, my plan of action moving forward is that I think 85.1 is the immediate target from these lows here. It would make sense for me given the aggressive breakdown situation that I just showed you guys. We're looking to hold above 78.1 right now, but this is all intraday movement. You guys are going to see this video after the fact. If you're looking for an entry, I think that anywhere around the 76.4 level, slightly below 76.5, is for a buy. We opened up a flat candle 4-hour there. It would make sense that we sweep that. Now, I want to take a look at the macro one more time, just give you guys more of where I see things going for the rest of the year here. On the monthly time frame here, I'm going to scroll out a bit and I'm going to connect the previous lows in the bear markets we've seen. We had this 2020 low that pushed and made these highs back when we topped off at 69K in 2021. Back down to the bear market range that we saw in 2022. That bottomed out before we made our new all-time highs here at 125 and some change. I connected these lows because I think they are an area of significance. If we are going to break down and lose the current lows that we are trading at, that would mean for me that we're going lower. And where from? I mean, we have this previous all-time high that we can absolutely look forward to as a potential retest. That would be that 65K region. But that being said, you cannot take this trend line out of the equation. So even if we were to, I don't know, maybe push up to 85,000 in the short term, push down here, and then reject down here, make it to 40K before a push back up, or we do hold around these lows and we make a situation to where we plan a little bit higher. But I think that that was relevant and that it makes sense. And we've seen previous sort of situations and chart patterns form before big pushes up. People that were trading these candles here were anticipating a break of this trend to the upside, and that would have caused a big move towards a 250,000, let's say, right? 250,000 trading at 125 and move to a 250,000 is a 2x from there. And we rejected after a few separate attempts. Now we're taking this into a broader, more high time frame vision, and we're seeing the potential possibilities. Where do you want to put your money? Where do you want to play in the casino? Make calculated bets and execute appropriately. Just want to show you guys that on the higher time frame. I gave you guys some intraday plans. Let's go on to Ethereum and break that down a little bit. On Ethereum, I want to point out how different the chart looks from Bitcoin. It took the all-time high, closed below after it swept the high, printed a beautiful SFP, ended up pushing up back into that high, printing a lower high before rejecting to the point that you see now. We've now seen 6 red candles back to back on Ethereum. We are trading at the lower end of this monthly level of demand. The reason why I don't want to call the monthly low in, and this goes for BTC as well, is because when you scroll out, you see what's possible. A lot of swings can happen, and they can happen both directions. If you think the monthly low is in, you take a long with your stop loss below the low. How likely is that to happen, play out? I'm not quite sure. I don't like playing my plays like that. I like to see how price action develops before I continue, especially on a Monday, especially when the monthly just opened. We just had some crazy, brutal price action to the downside. But all that being said, we are at the bottom end of monthly demand on Ethereum here. This is an impulsive move that pushed up on this candle, a little bit of rejection to push the price down before price ultimately got ate and up. A lot of people wanted to bid, push the price up out of this zone impulsively, leaving a level of demand, and people think it's worth it to bid. That's where their bids lie, and now we're at the bottom end of it. This is a very, very big zone. That's a 26% level of demand, roughly, and we're approaching the low end. We just front ran it a little bit. We also printed some RSI divergences at the bottom end, which is causing the bounce you see today. If we don't come back up and reclaim the middle line at around 2450, let's call it, then I don't anticipate direct continuation towards that 2900 level immediately. I would then anticipate a lower end test or a sweep of my level that I just pointed out here. That's what I would target for longs. That's what I would anticipate from here intraday. On a more macro outlook of things, and remember guys, economic events, all that good stuff, it matters. We have FOMC chair just got changed and appointed a new one. We have a lot of FOMC talks and confluences happening this week. A lot of people talking every day of the week now. So it's important that you keep your eyes on that. Anything can move the market right now, but stay true to your bias, plan things out beforehand, and analyze things in depth before you make your next moves. And you don't even have to do this every day. You really have to make a good breakdown of these. What suits your strategy? I like doing breakdowns like this every month, and then doing a breakdown every week, and then doing intraday breakdowns. And it's all relative, and it all matters to what you're trying to trade, what you're trying to accomplish, how much you want to risk, and really how to risk accordingly. If we can flip that 2450 level, let's call it even 2510 level, I think we could get a push to 2800. But again, I think I can anticipate a move down to 2120, especially given that I'm not anticipating the monthly low being in this early. I would expect people to move their stop losses up or either taking profit if they caught that low, and we could catch a good entry if it wants to retest lower. Now, we're seeing Michael Saylor buy out more Bitcoin. We're seeing Tom Lee buy more Ethereum. Even though he's superbly underwater, it's kind of hard to trust people like that. Follow the money. If you're investing your money for the future, make calculated bets. I like coins like Hype that are showing significant strength. Farcoin, if memes that were to be a thing in the future, I think that could be a leading indicator for it. I like Ethereum. As for what I'm holding, I'm not looking to add any more. I'm adding more Bitcoin. I think this is a perfect opportunity to do so, especially if you've been sidelined and patient for this next run. I think that purchasing under 80,000 is an absolute no-brainer. And if it wants to retest lower at around 40K, then I double up my Bitcoin there. But I think buying Bitcoin is great for the future of your investments. I think that's a no-brainer. So with that being said, guys, let's hop into some indexes. I mean, let's take a look at USDT. On the monthly, we have a significant breakout. With that being said, we had a significant break and continuation pattern happen here after we printed this bullish flag on continuation outside of the break of this trend. We ended up breaking out last week. This caused crypto and everything to reject massively, and it's all relative and it all follows. We are now in a continuated uptrend for a USDT.D. What's going to happen next is important. That's why I say patience is okay. Make plans beforehand and see what's happening. If this were to continue, I think that we could see a bigger hit on crypto. If this were to reject, then the adverse effect would happen on crypto. If this is to continue here, then we're going to see a significant amount of chop. And depending on what happens in the news is what's going to move the market in the short term, in my opinion. Now, that's for what I see happening here. I think that we have a choppy couple months ahead, guys. I think given by the most recent price action on USDT, it's all relative to what you have to analyze coming up. Even though intraday, it's not really significant, on the more higher time frame, you see how significant these reactions mean and what they mean for the market in general. Moving on to total 2, just like I was explaining on ETH, we had this big monthly level of demand and we are at the bottom level of it. If you do anticipate USDT dominance to reject, then alts are the bet. This is where alts should bottom at and where they should look to make a push towards at least the middle end of this level of demand where we aggressively rejected from. That being said, things are pretty much unpredictable right now, and the markets are moving dramatically and pretty crazy. If we were to retest the level down below and top the top end here at 980 billion, maybe on a rinse to start out, assuming that people think the monthly low is in, I think that that is worth your bid. That is where I'll be watching. That's where I'll set my alert. Don't want to really overcomplicate that since we really gave some good analysis on Ethereum and BTC. I think it's all relative to what's happening in the indexes. The stronger coins are going to move. Again, that being hype, that being coins like Fartcoin when it wants to move, that being coins, I mean, very far and few. I would even say maybe put Astro up in that basket. River is moving absolutely crazy nowadays. Bitcoin Cash is always worth taking an eye on. I mean, let's take a look at it here. I mean, we had a significant push up last month to take the highs. People thought it was going to break out. Honestly, including myself, I thought it was going to break out as well. So I can't keep myself out of that category. We did have this weekly anticipation of demand here. So people were looking to bid here for a pushback up here and a break. We didn't get that. Clearly, we ended up deviating that top end level of resistance and breaking down without actually taking the highs here. And now we're trading back below it. Intraday, there's a chance we go to 580 or at around the midline of this level of demand previous, now flipped into supply. And I do think that BCH is going to be a good entry. I mean, a really good entry right down here if we were to get it. Even right down here. Again, like we just had a pretty dramatic move down, so it's hard to call continuation for these levels, but it's important for me to set and make potential plans for these levels to get hit, because even if they're not hit today, not tomorrow, they could get hit 3 months from now, and these levels matter. They're all relative. You see how, I mean, these weekly levels of demand end up holding for a period of time of consolidation before anything kind of happens. That's where we retested for BCH here, is this weekly level. We have this weekly level, this weekly level. So, I mean, all relative to where you're trading. As long as we close the 1 days above this level, it's a good sign. If we close the 1 day level below 503, I'll look for a short to the low end of this level. At least the mid end. So that would be like 480 to retest the wick that just happened. That's another plan that I would set forth for BCH. If we push back up into 451, then I'll start taking a look at it again for a push back up to, again, that 580, 607 level. If I'm not in from the low end and I didn't catch the low end of the wick, I'm not entering it at the middle. There's good ways to do that. You could pull up your Fibonacci. There's great examples like that. It tapped the golden pocket dramatically. Shout out Pocky. 472 was a perfect snipe there. You could catch the reflips here in the retest. That's all cool and dandy, but if you're not in now, you don't get chopped up in the middle, especially when we're at resistance. I appreciate you guys stopping by. I have a lot of cool things happening around me right now, a lot of cool things being built. I'm going to drop all my links in the description down below. Make sure you get in the WoodsBot Discord if you are not. I make sure all the announcements are there first for anything coming up with the indicator, the levels, the bots, automations, the drops, which is happening soon. I'll see you guys in the next. Peace.